Yo, yo. As I've proven many times before, vegans don't comprehend biology 101. Plants respire the same as us. They reproduce, defend themselves when attacked, and so on. This is 100% proof that they don't want to die, like everything else that is alive. Some animals are specially created to eat specific plants, meaning that they can overpower their defense mechanisms. And other animals were created to overpower those animals. And we can overpower and eat all of the animals because we are apex predators. However, the plants have anti-nutrients and other poisons for us humans. For other animals, it's literally as if it's not there. That alone should tell us that we are not supposed to eat them. And of course we wouldn't be able to if man didn't create them. The safest plant to eat would be wild fruit in season, without the seeds and skin, because the fruit flesh is the safest part, but that's hard to do. A grape is 50% seeds and skin, so it's a lot of work. And we understand that we shouldn't chew open the seeds and swallow them. But nowadays they extract the oil and sell them to us. Nature was wrong all along. We are supposed to extract oil from tiny seeds and drink it.
Plants don't want to be eaten. So if you talk to a biologist about this fact, he will understand it easily, that plants don't want to be eaten, and so they produce what they call secondary metabolites, and I will call them bioactive compounds. And an example could be the estrogen receptor that is bound by endogenous hormones, estrogens, but it's also bound by exogenous substances like, for example, phytoestrogens. So this is a good example how the plant and the animal kingdom interact between them. This is a mechanism, defense mechanisms of plants. In this table, you can see selected categories of some bioactive compounds. Of course, this is it's not an official table. It's just a little review that I've done, and there are a lot of other substances that are not included here. But for example, we have antinutrients, such as ferric acid and oxalic acid, that they decrease the bioavailability of some nutrients. We have endocrine disruptors, like for example lectins, phytoestrogens, or exorphins. They are exogenous opioid peptides derived from the digestion of certain proteins that they interact with endocrine receptors. We also can include immune disruptors like lectins, gliadin, chromatin-like proteins, or saponins that they overstimulate the immune system or they can disrupt physical barriers. I'm going to include as well some new substances like DNA and RNA binding molecules such as rice microRNA that has been shown to alter the transcription of the LDL receptor. I will also include antioxidants, at least the isolated intake of certain antioxidants, like for example vitamin C, that has been shown to decrease the beneficial effect of exercise in type 2 diabetes patients. So perhaps the intake or the high intake of isolated antioxidants could be viewed as a bioactive compound disrupting our physiology. And some flavonoids, for example, the high intake of quercetin and kaempferol is been shown to inhibit several key enzymes in metabolism.
Creatures defend themselves in very different ways. So animals obviously can flee, but plants are helpless. This is a very vicious predator here, eating these innocent plants. And plants, though, however, are not so innocent. They defend themselves in a variety of ways. I'll just mention two or three before I get to the chemical ones just very briefly. Physical defense we all know about. It's not very complex. Animal guard defense is quite interesting. There are a lot of plants that actually hire ants using various types of rewards, different kinds of food, shelter, and these ants, in fact, defend the plants vigorously from their predators, actually attack things that would try to eat the plants. Toxins, as I say, are defenses that damage the eater. And I think of these as things that either disrupt the metabolism or the structure. And I'll give examples of both of these. And there are many different kinds of toxins. Some of these affect the nervous system, some stop respiration, some inhibit digestive enzymes, some damage the gut lining. So there's a host of different ways, and all of these can have effects on us. We are remarkably similar to insects and all other animals. Let's look at one particular protease inhibitor, the one in soybeans, and we know that has an effect on the digestion of many insects. This has been studied in many, many insects, things like beetles, tobacco hornworm, corn earworm, many. And we see similar digestive enzyme inhibitors in many seeds. And by the way, the soybean protease inhibitors also affect lab animals. And how about humans? And at what dosage? Dosage is a very big thing. We can often stand small dosages of many things, but if we up the dosage, so if somebody's eating huge amounts of soy that is not properly processed, then it wouldn't be surprising that the protease inhibitors might be having some effect. Wheat protease inhibitors are, I think, maybe more of an issue for many people because they've now been shown to be strong triggers for an innate immune response in cells, both from celiac and non-celiac patients. So this is not something this is totally different from gluten. This is not related to celiac because it apparently can affect cells from a wide variety of patients, and it looks like it's fueling inflammation. There's a paper published about 1.5 years ago. Wheat amylase trypsin inhibitors drive intestinal inflammation via activation of toll-like receptor 4. So we're now at the mechanistic level understanding how this is happening. Could this be involved in what we call non-celiac gluten sensitivity? Might it be not actually gluten in a case like this, but some other component of wheat? Because wheat has multiple defensive compounds. I think all of us have heard about cyanide. It blocks respiration. It's a quick way to die if you're exposed to large amounts of cyanide. Entomologists use it to kill insects because it'll kill the insects quite quickly. And their cyanogenic glycosides are in a number of plants, things like cherries and peaches in the pits. And there's good evidence that this is a defense against herbivores. It's in a lot of plants. We know it in over 2,500 plant species. And this stuff is released upon tissue damage. So it's in an inactive form, and when tissue is damaged by something eating it, then that causes the cyanide to be released.
How do plants protect themselves? Here are our friends, the crucifers, which we're told are extremely healthy for us, and there are lots of them in the vegetable aisle. But if the broccoli is cut or chewed, then these two compounds mix together and form this sulforaphane, which is an isothiocyanate. There are lots of them in the crucifer family, but we're going to look only at sulforaphane. And what is its job? The broccoli now needs to defend itself from the little creatures that are trying to eat it. It basically is a molecule that's designed to kill small living creatures. So what might this mean for us? How does it do it? So the way that these chemicals kill or try to kill these small creatures that are trying to eat it is the primary way is it poisons their mitochondria. The mitochondria are very important. They're the energy powerhouse of all of our cells. And it also causes all kinds of other problems as well. As you look below, you can see. And in scientific studies, it's been shown that it can kill healthy cells as well as cancerous cells, and it can actually cause cancer itself. We're going to look at the potato glycoalkaloids in particular because not only because they're the best studied, but they're the most potent. Glycoalkaloids in the other nightshades are either weak or very low concentrations. So these are designed as pesticides. They're cholinesterase inhibitors, which is that's a neurotoxin. Nerve gas works exactly the same way. And they burst membranes open because they bind so strongly to cholesterol that it destabilizes the membrane of living cells.
Photosensitizers are toxins that make animals sensitive to light. And these are important in plant defense. Okay, so it makes them sensitive to light. One example of this is celery. Another example is wild parsnip. These are both in the carrot family. I'm going to mention two families, the carrot and the citrus family, that are well known for photosensitizers. So the carrot family, the citrus family, there are a number of others. And these photosynthesizers sensitizers are technically called furanocoumarins. These are phenolic, that just means polyphenolic, multiple ring compounds that become light activated. So when light hits them, it changes them chemically and they become activated, and they can then cross-link with DNA, and they can also modify proteins. So they actually damage DNA and proteins in the presence of light. So this is a poor sheep that has had a photosensitive reaction. It's a photodermatitis, and its ears and face are not good. There can be blistering lesions, swelling of the head. Celery is also kind of fun. It's a known occupational risk for celery handlers and celery pickers. People who are exposed to lots of celery, they get what's called celery dermatitis if they go out in the sun after being exposed to lots of celery. Lime juice is a well-known cause of photodermatitis. So if you squeeze limes and then go out in the sun, you're at pretty serious risk. And this can actually be a horrifying manifestation. Your hands will swell up, they'll be blistered. It's just, and people who don't understand what's happening, they go to the physician. Often dermatologists know about this, but often other physicians don't recognize it. They don't know what's happened, but the people's hand, I've seen this, it's just horrifying. Here, for example, this made the news last year, national news, limes blame for girls' second-degree burns. She had, I don't know if it's large enough for you to see, but she's got pretty serious burns from lime exposure. So again, these plants did not evolve this to do to us, but they evolved it to due to their things that would hurt them. These are called phytoecdysones. Here is a poor pupa, an insect pupa, with 3 heads. So this creature, unfortunate creature, ate some of a particular plant, it's called a bugleweed, that has these phytoecdysones. And as a result, its whole developmental pattern was thrown out of kilter. Now, if we think about this, this is a gross physical manifestation, but it wouldn't have to be this gross physical manifestation to have profound influences, would it? But this is just, I use this because it was such a dramatic example. How about hormone mimics in our own food? Well, let's look at the phytoestrogens, the compounds that mimic female hormones in soy as an example in our food. So soybeans make these compounds called isoflavones, and these are plant defense phytoestrogens, and they're excellent fungicides. So this is a soybean leaf with some rust. It's a type of fungus, and so they probably evolved to protect the plant against fungi and possibly insects. And we know that plants under attack make more. So this is what you'd expect of a defense chemical, isn't it? If the plant's being attacked, it makes sense for the plant to upregulate its production. And we can see that this is one of the phytoestrogens from soy, and this is human estrogen, and you can see there are similarities in the molecule, and it's not surprising that there may be some, our body may confuse this at the receptor level. So these are phytoestrogens. We can go to a health food store and we can find books like this. This is by an MD. Soy is recommended for menopausal women. Here's a supplement that talks about it. Okay, so this is one of these things that it really makes me think humans can compartmentalize our minds so remarkably. We can say, okay, postmenopausal women take soy, and then we give children this as their sole nutrition in some cases, soy formula, which to me, I just think about it, I think, wow. And when are we most sensitive to hormonal influences? When we're very young. Now, some people would say, well, Asians eat a lot of soy. Well, it's not really that simple. They usually don't eat soy foods in large quantities unless forced to do so by famine or poverty. It's mainly as condiments and flavoring, not meat replacements, and they also eat it in traditional fermented forms, which can reduce some of the toxins. So, and we know that these kinds of plant phytoestrogens can have profound effects on mammals. We've known since the 40s that they can cause serious reproductive problems in sheep. This is very well known. And we know it can cause problems from many other animals. So what's it doing in humans? How sensitive are humans to this? There are certainly a number of studies that raise red flags. For example, a study from 2008, soy causes reduction in sperm quality in men. A study from a number of years before that, it causes changes in the sex hormone ratios in people. And a study that came out in 2010 raises real concerns about children. Some research shows that urine levels of these isoflavones are 500 times higher in infants fed soy formula. So we know that a lot of it is being metabolized and going through the body.
Another defense with oxalates. So people switch from, say, McDonald's burgers to spinach salads to get healthy, and they develop kidney stones and other agony.
That's a great thing. I'm really glad you mentioned that. I had a student a number of years ago who, for some reason, ate spinach every day. And she was, a 19 or 20-year-old college student. She had had repeated efforts of kidney stones. And I said, you really want to think about how much spinach you're eating. I'm not a physician, but if I was you, I would think about the quantities of spinach. She probably couldn't detoxify oxalates properly.
Vegans actually try to portray the anti-nutrients as appealing or even healthy, which is what they always do. They understand that it may be off-putting to some people to eat poison with every meal of yours. And it should be. Some who aren't as gullible stop eating grains, but continue with all the other seeds, such as nuts and beans. They are the same or even worse. It's simply a fucking stupid idea to put poison in your body, whatever amount it is. Thanks for watching.